Hi, my name is Macy if you don't know me, and if you do know me, welcome back. Today's video is slightly less upbeat and fun. I just wanted to talk about something that plays a big role in my life. That's not something mundane or minuscule or my everyday, but something much larger. And as someone with an audience mainly of girls, specifically teen girls, I thought this would be important to share because I'm sure a lot of you have gone through similar experiences that I've gone through. So today I'm going to be talking about mental health and bullying and my experiences with both of those things. I feel like they kind of play off each other in my current life. I'm going to start talking about middle school area because I feel like everyone can agree that middle school is not the best time of anyone's life. Also, for current context, I'm 16 years old and I'm a junior in high school. So let's just get into it. So first I'm going to start with sixth grade. Nothing was really wrong in sixth grade. I didn't experience bullying or wasn't depressed or anything, but I did have a friend group of people that in my middle school, which was 7th to 8th grade at the time, ended up becoming more of the popular group. So I'm just going to give that as context as to why I was friends with the people that I was friends with that I talked about. I will not be mentioning any specific names in this video. Obviously, I don't want to put anyone on blast because especially with middle school, because it was middle school, 7th and 8th grade, and most of these people are juniors and seniors now, so I'm not going to talk about it. Middle school in general is kind of just hard because everyone's trying to grow up a little bit too fast, and so you're expected to look a certain way and act a certain way, especially with the friends that I surrounded myself with, I guess. It was just constant pressure all the time because everyone in middle school is just trying to fit in and look like a carbon copy of each other. So it was basically she got these shoes, no, I need to get these shoes, and now they need to get these shoes, and if you don't have these shoes, then stupid stuff like that. And that really wasn't the main problem. My main problem a lot of the time was people commenting on my body, and I was about 13, 14 years old. So obviously I wasn't developed. I was 13. But I would get a lot of people telling jokes that had been taken too far and I know hurt other people, but you weren't really allowed to act like it hurt you. You weren't supposed to do that because that was so normalized where I was, where someone would come up to you or you'd hear that someone called you flat. It would be that type of thing, she has such small boobs and she has no butt, and I was yeah, I'm 13. Girl, I've barely been alive a decade. I don't know what you want me to do. One specific time, I was in my Spanish class in 8th grade, and I was just hanging something up, and I was wearing a sweatshirt and leggings, and I always wore big sweatshirts because I was very insecure about my body and I didn't want people to comment on it. And I was just hanging something up, so my sweatshirt went up a little bit because my arms were above my head, and immediately started getting, "She's so thick," sarcastically. I feel like this is kind of awkward to talk about. Sorry if I'm acting awkward. But I think that a lot of what happened to me in middle school was a lot of just body shaming, calling people out for not fitting into a specific mold. I used to get told that I looked like a lesbian when I wore mom jeans and a t-shirt. There's nothing wrong with being a lesbian, but you can't look like a lesbian. That's not a thing. And it was clearly meant to be derogatory. It was not meant to be just a thing that people said in a passing comment. It was meant to be an insult to be called a lesbian. I don't know. It was weird. My old school was really weird. In middle school also, I kind of struggled to find friends. I've had that trend throughout my entire life because despite what some people see me as, I'm very introverted. I'm very nervous and shy, and sometimes that makes me seem like I'm very talkative, but it's just because I'm so stressed out and nervous. So I struggled to find friends. I did have 2 really good friends at the time who are still my 2 best friends. And I'd always come back to them pretty much to talk about what my friends, the people that ended up being a more popular group at the time, again, have no idea what they're like now. They're probably way better than they were in middle school. Everyone was going through it in middle school. Those 2 friends were the people that I trusted the most, and they weren't really part of that popular group at all. So I would always go to them and tell them what happened and, that type of thing. And I had a lot of friends at dance. I was really close with a lot of people at my dance studio. Despite having a support system, I guess, at dance of people that I could actually talk to, when I was at school, I felt so alone all the time. I was afraid to go to school. I would come home and I would cry. I felt very depressed, and like I was just horrified to go to school. I hated it. I started dressing basically in any way that would cover up the most of my body possible. It was always like leggings and a huge sweatshirt because I didn't want anyone to see like a silhouette of my body. I didn't want anyone to make fun of me, pretty much. So I would just wear like a black leggings, like a huge like Champion sweatshirt every single day. Sometimes I would wear mom jeans, but you know, every single time I wore them, people would tell me I looked like a lesbian. Still doesn't add up, but it's fine. Like, people at my middle school thought it was really funny to like grab someone's butt, like randomly. That happened to me a few times, and I made it very clear that I did not want someone touching my body. I didn't even want people to perceive my body, so you know, someone touching my butt randomly while I was like standing at my locker was not exactly what I wanted. At the end of my 8th grade year, I was kind of a bit more optimistic. I'd stopped being so close with that group of people who just made me feel so terribly about myself, and was really drawn to my 2 current best friends. And I knew that I was leaving to go to a different school after this, so I wasn't going to be going to the same high school that, like continuing on to the high school after middle school. So I went to a new school. It was the one that my brother and sister went to, so I was kind of familiar with it. And surprise, surprise, still struggled with finding friends. My current school is a charter school, so a lot of people that went to this high school were from certain charter schools, so it was like a lot of people that already knew each other from their old charter school, and then a lot of people that knew each other from their other charter school. So it was just kind of difficult finding people that I could talk to. Like my first day, I was mainly talking to my sister and her friends. I ended up finding like a few friends, some people that I was in class with, just randomly. I didn't have like a friend group per se, or like a large support system at the time, but I had a few friends. I had some people that would be in my Spanish class, and then I talked to certain people during like my math class, like that type of thing. And I continued on my friendship with like my 2 closest friends from my old school. During my 9th grade year, I was also in a relationship that just was not healthy for either of the people involved. It was very codependent. I was very codependent on the person that I was with at the time, and we were both just young and immature and stupid. This person didn't go to my school. Like, I couldn't go drive out to go see this person or anything, and we saw each other like every week, but it was just not healthy, and it did a lot of bad things for my mental health because my mental health solely depended on this other person. I was always anxious because what if this person feels like this, and what if it's all my fault, and like all this stuff, and it was just immature. It was like very like middle school relationship, but we were together for a long time. 9th grade is probably my best year of high school yet because it was not only the easiest in terms of academic, but I had like friends, established friends. I was in a relationship that I thought was good, but now that I'm out of it, I'm sure that both of us involved can agree that it was very toxic. It's not good. And then during 9th grade, pandemic hit, so got out of there. You're out of high school for a long time. So then 10th grade came back, and this is kind of where it all just starts falling apart in terms of high school. There was something that happened between me and the person I was in a relationship with. That was like a huge deal in the summer, and we broke up for the better. It was very much for the better. Not long after school started, I started a new relationship, which I'm still currently in. Yeah. It was way healthier from the beginning. I could tell that it was going to be a completely different vibe than what I was used to in my old relationship. So going into 10th grade, I really didn't have anything bad happening to me. I was kind of chilling, if you will. I was like, this is my new beginning. Like, I'm out of my old relationship. I haven't seen these people in so long because of the pandemic and summer, and like now we're all back and it's my new start. Due to the person that I was dating, who you all know, my boyfriend Ian, a lot of the people that associated themselves with Ian didn't like me. It started out with just like stupid little comments, and then it developed into something way more. Around January was when the true like bullying started, I guess. It was like a group chat that had tons of friends of my boyfriend, and they basically just resorted to calling me everything that they could think of. I'm probably gonna have to end up bleeping these out because YouTube reasons, and also a lot of people that I know watch me, a lot of kids watch me and I don't want to say bad words. I was called for really no reason, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it all pretty much started because the person that I was in a toxic relationship with, I still had to see every week because we danced together. People, they didn't like that I had basically maintained a friendship with this person. Not really any of their business, but that was pretty much why. Like, it just stemmed from that. They were trying to convince Ian to break up with me. They were trying to basically just slander my name however they could. And then eventually there was basically a list made of everything that I've ever done in my life that they think was bad. Had my relationship history, including some very private things that were not for anyone else to know except me and the people I was having relationships with. A lot of the things they said were true, but they were private. They were talking about relationships that I had, just like private information that people don't need to know. Some of the things were fabricated, and they also signed people's names on the bottom that had no idea that this list existed. And they were basically sharing this around with anyone they wanted. They would show people it during class. It was just like a 3-page long document detailing all of my private information that I wanted to keep private because, as I stated, I'm a very private person. I'm introverted, I'm shy, and anything that I have done with other people is no one's business except my own and the other person that's involved. I don't care what the situation is. It's just not everyone's business to try to be finding out my personal life. Upon finding out about this document, I cried a lot. I called my boyfriend. I was like in hysterics. It was just a lot. That whole period of my life was just very stressful and emotionally draining. But I didn't bring it to the school. I don't like drama. I'm not a huge fan of making drama where it is unnecessary. I don't like all that attention on me. I don't like having to bring it to the school because I feel like most of the time it makes it worse. So at this point, I had not gotten anyone at the school involved. I basically just dealt with mean comments from any of his friends all the time. Just things said loud enough so I could hear them. Broad statements that were pointed at me, I guess, like somebody did blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? It was very immature of the people that were the problem. And my mental health really plummeted during this time. I felt so alone. Like, I felt like no one supported me because everyone was friends with this group. I was just so alone, and I don't really like to talk about mental health and stuff with like my family and stuff. I'm very private. I like to keep my issues to myself. And it got to the point where I was crying myself to sleep. I felt so numb to everything. I didn't want to go to school ever. Tried to convince my mom to let me do online school again. I also, at this time, had less like really close friendships at my dance studio, I guess. Just we're all older, and so everyone's more busy, so we can't like hang out all the time, you know? I just had less friendships, and even the close friendships I did have at my dance studio, I couldn't bring them all to school with me all the time to try to defend me. And a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you not just, like stand up for yourself? I did try. I tried one time to publicly call the main person out for the treatment I was getting, I guess. I was met with backlash. I had some girls at my school that were supporting me in this moment, but people were bringing other people into the classroom to watch me. It was during like a lunch period or something. So my teacher was not in the room at the time. I was getting yelled at. I was being told I basically just was not a good person. Like, if I didn't want all those things shared to other people, I shouldn't have done them. It was just not a good justification. That's like the same justification that people use when someone sends pictures and then they spread them around. And they're like, well, you shouldn't have sent them in the first place. It's like very deflecting the blame onto the victim of the situation. I'm not saying I'm necessarily a victim or whatever. I don't want to sound like, oh, I'm a victim of bullying. But like, I've gotten bullied. I was just so depressed, and it was like nothing I could do or say to anyone would change the situation because this group of people had a very fixed mindset about who I was. I was a bad person. I got around with tons of other people. I flirted with everyone. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, I'm very private at school. I'm not super outgoing. I mainly talk to my boyfriend. That's pretty much it. I'll talk to a few other people, but I'm generally very reserved. It was just a lot to deal with as a 15-year-old, 15 and 16, I guess, because that's the ages I was. Anything and everything reminded me of it. I was dreading going to school all the time. I would write these super long, like, diary entries about, like, how much I hated myself. And sorry if the video quality is drastically different and the angle is drastically different. My phone keeps dying or running out of storage. Love my life. Basically, at the beginning of this year, I limited interaction a lot. I didn't want to make a big deal, so I didn't get the school involved. But my parents got very tired of hearing me text them and tell them what's going on because I didn't really have a support system at school. And it brought me back to the place that I was last year, in which I was nervous to go to school. I tried to convince my mom again to let me do online school. She says no every time, so I don't know why I keep trying. I cried a lot. I cried myself to sleep because I felt like my privacy was taken away, which it kind of was, because I'm very introverted and I don't really like people knowing my business. It's why I struggle with friendships a lot, because I'm not super open to opening up, and I like to keep things pretty surface level, lighthearted, which is difficult because people want emotional connection, and I'm just like, love you, but no one's getting all up in here. No one's getting all up in here. Like, I just don't like people knowing my personal business, my mental health. Like, that's just not who I am. Doing this is very out of my comfort zone as well. Eventually, my parents got fed up because I kept texting them being like, this is what was said, or this is what was done, because I didn't have anyone to talk to at school. Eventually, parents got involved. My parents talked to the main issue, the main problems parents, like the leader parents, I guess. I don't know. Eventually, my school got involved because I didn't want to bring it to school, because usually it makes things worse just in general, because that's just how people are, and it sucks. I was the one who told my parents not to bring it to school, because I just never been about that. Like, I told them not to, but they were fed up. They wanted these people to be held accountable for what they were saying and doing, both in group chats and at school. I felt very lonely then, and I still do now after the fact. It really does alienate you from the rest of your grade. These people are very popular and everyone's friends with them. It just makes you feel kind of lonely when you feel like something has been done that's so horrible to you and everyone else kind of glosses over it, I guess. I still struggle currently with, like, sustaining that happiness that I used to have. A lot more insecure, I'd say. I'm getting better about insecurity, actually. It's getting better, but I still feel very watched, which was a big thing. Like, people, these specific group of people would watch me all the time, and I could tell, and they'd look and they'd whisper and, like, they'd say things just being stupid, like immature things. So it does feel lonely and hard to sustain happiness when you are basically alone in what you're fighting for. I just think that it's kind of hard because when I'm with people, it feels like I'm putting on, like, a facade of this happiness, but and sometimes I am genuinely happy when I'm with people, but a lot of the times it feels like I'm at school, time to start performing, you know? When I'm alone, it gets much more difficult because I feel that weight of anxiety and feel depressed sometimes. When I'm alone especially, I just feel so depressed because I feel like I am truly alone and I don't have the support. Nobody likes me, and everything I'm doing is just, like, pointless because no matter what I do, people are gonna say stuff about me, and, like, I still struggle with that, but I'm getting better, and that's just my mental health and bullying experiences up to this year. I am supposed to get a therapist soon to talk through my issues, because I have been very heavily affected by what's happened to me recently, and just my whole life. If you're going through the same thing, know that you are not alone, because I just aired out all of my mental health issues online. So high school is short. You'll probably not see these people after. And so just do what you want to do, because no matter what, people will have a problem. That's what I'm trying to do now, is just do whatever makes me happiest, because no matter what I do, I know someone's gonna have a problem with it. So that's my current journey. That's how I feel. And I hope that you guys enjoyed listening about my experience, me actually opening up a rare occurrence. I love you. I hope you have an incredible day or night or whatever time it is. If you ever need someone to talk to, my socials are all down there. I will most likely DM you back as long as you're not being weird. If you're an old man trying to get me to be your sugar baby, please do not text. Just don't send the text. Just don't send the text. Just don't send the text. Have an incredible day, loves. Bye!